anticipate and daydream on those things, and we talk about those a lot during our dates. Make it a practice to touch hands and sit close. And so this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is like that reconnecting with one another. Holding hands is such a big thing.
Yes, and if
it's
you
a small
don't hold
gesture.
their hand, it's so much bigger than you think it is.
Yeah, like
I'm not a touchy person. I'm not that kind of human that wants to have physical touch. It's just not me. So, like, kissing and things are not something I'm just going to run up and do. So, whenever I'm out and about, like at H-E-B, and there's couples just, like, kissing in the aisle, that's weird to me. That's odd, right?
I would find that odd at H-E-B.
But I will say, because my significant other is a touchy-feely person, I am required to hold his hand at all times. Like, if we are together, we are holding hands.
I was watching y'all the other night at dinner when we were all eating together, and y'all were holding hands. And I was like, oh,
if we are
so
still...
cute.
If we are still, but he has to, because if I don't, then it's an offense to him and my care for him.
Yeah.
And that's not it at all. I'm just not a touchy person.
You're like,
but I will hold hands over kissing in public.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. Compromise.
Compromise.
I like it.
But it does really matter.
And their final thing is to keep good eye contact and to show sincere interest. Feigned interest is very easily recognizable. I can totally tell when somebody's
Especially in your
bullshitting me.
significant other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the person you're supposed to know the best.
I'm like, don't lie to me. You hate this idea. And he's like, you're right. I totally hate your idea. I'm like, see? Why? Now I gotta pick a new one.
Now you're going to blow up.
But it's okay, because I generally have plans A, B, C, and possibly a D on a back burner at all times.
Yes.
I'm always prepared. Constant vigilance. Anyways, so I think those are really good things that you can share with your partner and to help create the mood for date nights, because I always hope that date nights lead to dates in the bedroom department.
Okay. I didn't know where you were going.
You gave me a funny look, because I was like, I was trying not to say sex, but now I'm just going to say sex. I wanted to lead to the sex.
If that's the goal.
Otherwise, you just don't get any. And I thought this is kind of the point, is to
sometimes you have
connect.
to speak what you need.
To connect, right? So I do recommend putting kids to bed earlier so that you can have that reconnecting time with your spouse, partner, whomever.
Whatever's going on.
Whomever. But I feel like that's because you should be in a better mood already, right? You've been hanging out together.
You followed these rules to stay nice and play nice with each other.
Yeah,
now you get to do the actual play.
You're feeling very intimate, and so you continue the intimacy onward. That's where I'm going with this, like continuing the intimacy. There you go.
To a grand finale.
Grand finale. This wine is I haven't even finished my glass, first of all. This is
But it's really
good. Sweet. It's not as thick as some ports I've had in the past, but it is very thick. Like, I should have poured like a shot glass full. Like, it's a lot.
Yes.
And it is very high alcohol content. But I do think it's good. I'm going to find out how much alcohol content this is, and I'm totally going to post an update.
Yes.
At a later date.
Curious.
To be determined.
So one of the great things, too, is reconnecting with your kids in a fun way. Yeah. And I had someone tell me this, because I'd never thought of it this way, but there was a really nice couple. They were more acquaintances, really, but they were so nice, and they talked to us at length about how each of their children gets one date night with each of them. Mm-hmm. So and there's 3 kids. So that's 6 dates. So if you can afford that, that's great. But also, it was a really nice idea, and I really stuck with it because the way they talked about it was that it allowed the child to have a more understanding that their parent is there for them and is supporting them in what their dreams are and what their thoughts are, because you're giving them that one-on-one time, and they don't have little kid sister speaking over them when they're just trying to talk about them wanting to be an artist when they grow up. And whether or not that's what they're going to be, doesn't matter. They still want to feel heard in that moment. And the little kid sister is being annoying, is like, well, I'm going to be a veterinarian or what have you.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Like, reconnecting with your kids, right? Like, dating intentionally with your children.
Yeah.
Like, in that way, that space to know them better, to get to know them better.
And if they're teenagers, maybe you'll catch them in something.
Right.
Maybe it's needed for you to know what's actually going on that they're not telling you.
I tell you what, that's like one of the hardest things, right, is to take and to spend time, I think, as they get older. Because they do.
And they don't really want to sometimes.
They might not want to, but I feel like we're just involved in so many activities.
Yes.
That the time to have your dates with your kids becomes harder, and you have to be that much more intentional, and intentionality, I think, is difficult.
Yes, very much so.
And so if it's hard to do it with your partner, it is just as hard to do with your children. And so I think picking up
an interesting thought is the no conversation zone with your kid.
Right.
That would be really difficult for me.
Right, to be like, okay, we will
before we leave, we're not going to talk about these. I don't know.
See,
I think it's way harder for me to do that than with my significant.
Yeah, because I'm the parent, damn it.
That's a hard concept.
Maybe I wouldn't apply those rules to my children.
So I got a quick story.
Okay, go for it.
Slightly unrelated.
Okay.
So, me and my husband were in our car, in our driveway, with our kid in the backseat. We're just about to take off. Mm-hmm. And we both are in complete silence. We just sat down, and both of us looked up, and we were in complete silence. And we're locked on to this woman across the street. And we were just so confused because she is like dressed to the nines. I mean, she is from top to bottom. Her hair is way more done than I think my hair has ever even known possible.
Uh-huh.
And beautiful dress, all these things. And I could not take my eyes off of her. She was mowing her lawn with a push mower that does not have the drag. You know how some of them drive themselves a little bit? You're still driving them, but they pull a little.
They got power steering kind of
thing. Yeah,
they
got assistance. This one obviously does not. She is completely leaned over, on her tiptoes, pushing this thing. And my husband goes, I guess we got to keep up with the Joneses today. And I looked over at him and I said, what I'm getting off of this moment is someone is in really bad trouble. Mm-hmm. That person's significant other was either told to deal with the lawn or something made this person go outside and mow with a full face of makeup.
Because you don't do that in Texas.
That's not normal.
No.
And I might be projecting. I might be projecting. I don't know. I feel like in that moment, that's how I felt that situation was. And of course, we drove by and we waved like nice little neighbors and went about our way. Because it was 4:00. It was hot.
It's just been hot. So I can't imagine. Yeah, she was obviously pissed.
I'm sure. I'm hoping they still went on the date or whatever they were about to go on. I hope
so.
But any hooser.
Well, I guess that wraps up today's episode. I mean, we're gonna end it on that note.
Because why not?
Keep
up with the Joneses.
That's right. Keep up with the Joneses. We hope you enjoyed our wine and motherhood adventure. Thank you for tuning in and turning up with us. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Mom's Guide to, that's the number 2, wine. Feel free to leave us a love note, episode suggestion, or just say hi.
Howdy.
This is Eliza.
And this is Rosie.
And we'll be spilling with you soon. Just kidding. I can't find my music. There it is.